So most people are stuck thinking like forever weight loss customers. That's basically what I've called them for years, instead of healthy people or healthy fitness coaches. And that's exactly why the weight keeps on coming back over and over again. They think, maybe this is you too, that fitness coaches and healthy people avoid pizza. They never miss workouts, they eat perfectly, and somehow enjoy living on chicken and broccoli and health food 24/7 forever. So every time that they try to lose the weight, they build their entire approach around restriction, around suffering, and trying to basically survive until they can just get back to normal. But healthy people, healthy fitness coaches, we don't live like that. And honestly, most people were never actually taught how healthy people think and live long term. So they do things quite backwards, unfortunately. Today, I want to show you, though, the actual differences because once you see this clearly, a lot of things are going to click and you won't be able to go back. And that's going to set you free, I promise you. One thing I will say is that out of the last 2 decades of fitness coaching, I have gradually grown more flexible in my exercise routine, more flexible in my nutrition, and yet my quality of life gets better and my fitness life gets better. And that's what I want to help you do today in this video. Okay. So, most people can lose weight. That's important to understand. And chances are, is if you're watching this video, you've lost weight before, right? The problem is you weren't able to keep it off. All right. The problem usually is not losing it. The problem is that you and other people cannot usually keep it off. Well, at least not without low calories, excessive workouts, cutting foods that you enjoy, obsessing over the scale, or eventually just burning out and rebounding. So, what ends up happening? Well, they lose the weight and then they regain it. They try another program, they regain it. They hire another trainer, they regain it. They try another diet trend, regain it. Maybe even doing things like GLP-1s or back in the day, HCG. These are the sort of things that people end up trying. And then they panic because they realize eventually that they'll probably regain that too if nothing about their lifestyle or thinking actually changes. Can you relate to this? Have you been here where you've lost and you know that you're losing it, but you just can't imagine doing the things that are causing you to lose the weight forever? This means that you know you're going to regain it at some point. You just don't know when. Okay. So I really want you to hear me on this, though. This usually, for most people, why they regain it and why they go the routes they go is not because of laziness. It's not wanting the easy way out. It's not quick fixes. It is simply because they've accidentally been trained to think like temporary dieters, AKA what I call forever weight loss customers, instead of healthy people. They've been taught how to lose weight. They've never been taught how to live healthy year round so that they have the weight stay off for good. So what happens is they have no clue how to actually keep the weight off. So they chase these cycles over and over and over again. So the forever weight loss customer mindset is the very first thing that you've got to pay attention to. Okay. Forever weight loss clients or customers are almost always on or they're always off. It's more like an extreme, like all or nothing. Okay. They're eating well or they're being bad if they're not eating well. They're dieting or they're eating like normal. And this is the thing I've heard for years is, oh, I can't wait to get back to normal after I'm done losing the weight. Okay. So the question is that dieting or eating normal suggests that there is something abnormal. Okay. So normal leads to regains. So is that really normal when you want to get back to your normal life? Not really. Losing weight or regaining it is where most people actually tend to fit in. There is no balance, there is no sustainability. Everything is extremes. And when they want fat loss, this is the big key here. Calories crash super low, or they cut out all sweets or nearly all carbs. Sometimes they go low fat. There's so many different ways that people find ways to lose weight and it works, but they're highly restrictive. They're miserable to be on. They don't last. And they also alter all kinds of hormonal functions, metabolism, lean muscle, the whole 9 yards that you don't really want to go through. Okay. The other thing that happens is whenever people want to lose weight who are stuck in this pattern, their workouts go way up in either duration or intensity or frequency, or even worse, all of them. Cardio gets ramped up at times. Foods get, more and more restricted. That happens. Life gets monotonous and miserable. So it's no wonder they can't keep the weight off, okay? They spend their entire fat loss phase looking forward to getting back to normal, okay? Think about how backwards that is for a second when we consider when we're trying to lose weight, we're trying to get healthy. If your version of getting healthy is something that you can't wait to escape from, how in the world was it ever supposed to become your lifestyle? Like so many coaches and gurus and authors have preached about, you got to make it a lifestyle, right? Well, what the heck kind of a lifestyle is it where you avoid everything and you call that healthy? Not in modern day. It just does not work, at least not for the individuals that I've worked for and not worked with, and definitely not for myself. I enjoy food, I enjoy flexibility, and I am busy. If I were to do the things that most forever weight loss customers do, not only would I not be fit and healthy, I would feel awful, and I just would not have the balance that I need to in order to run a business and to train clients and to work, and have a normal quality of life. And that's what I'm going to help you get as well. Okay, so we've determined that it's not normal to avoid all this stuff. Okay, so most people think that if eating pizza or cookies is cheating, that's a problem. So they avoid those foods that they enjoy for as long as possible. It's all willpower and discipline that they're trying to use. Okay, so they eventually binge, or they emotionally eat, or they just burn out because nobody can grind through this restriction forever. I know I couldn't. And again, like I mentioned, most of my clients never were able to either. So then eventually they binge and they go through all this different stuff. But most also focus almost entirely on the scale, on their weight. They determine if they're successful based on the scale alone. Okay. So the scale is basically determining their mood for the day or even for the week. Down 2 pounds, it's a great day. Up 2 pounds from sodium and water retention, absolute panic, worry, or obsession, and trying to figure out what the heck to do to get that back off and why did it cause it. Well, let me just give you a little bit of a pause, just a little sidebar. I want to give you a little bit of encouragement. If you have worried about gaining a pound or two when you're doing well, trying to get in shape, I want you to know that unless you ate 3,500 calories, 3,500 calories over your maintenance calories, which is how many calories you need to maintain your weight, you did not gain a pound of body fat. You're gaining water retention, and it's not a big deal, okay? I want to give you that peace of mind because so many people are obsessed with the scale. And hopefully by the end of this video, you will have a little bit more clarity and a little bit more confidence on what to do versus what not to do. And you can get out of the cycle of the forever weight loss customer and into the forever ongoing repeated line of being a healthy and fit person who's able to keep that, okay? So when this person's up 2 pounds from sodium and water retention, they panic. Meanwhile, they're not paying attention to important things like waist measurements, body fat, muscle preservation, because that's huge for metabolism, hormones, energy, strength, inflammation, movement quality, consistency, and habits. None of these things are focused on. And because they don't fully understand what actually causes fat loss, they get pulled all over the dang place emotionally. They get tempted with supplements, and usually are expensive, detoxes, cleanses, sweat sessions, calorie burn obsession. So they go to group fitness trends like F45 and Orange Theory. And guys, I have no problem with those places if you understand how it works. But most of the time, people are burning hundreds of calories in there, but they're not building any lean body mass. They're not building muscle. They're actually taking away from it. And they're also essentially let's say they're aggravating, it's probably a good way to say it. They're aggravating their central nervous system. They're not getting enough rest. They're not getting enough sleep. Their hormones are continually being altered because they are not treating their body in a healthy way. And this is leading to regain guaranteed. Okay. So whatever is trending most recently as best, most recently as effective, most recently as, let's say, yeah, I would just say the most effective. This is what most people tend to gravitate to. Fat burning gimmicks, etc. Many end up constantly searching for a shortcut, a cheat code, the thing that finally makes this stick. And I get that, okay? But healthy long-term fitness, it doesn't come from, well, shortcuts or from hard to stick with plans to get weight off as quickly as possible. It doesn't come from get quick fit schemes. It doesn't come from these little short term stints of weight loss. It just doesn't. Okay. The things that you're doing to get the weight off that quickly is going to be the thing that causes you to regain it just as quickly. I don't have time in this video to get into why, but you can find a few of my other videos on exactly what that is. Okay. So this comes from understanding when people actually keep weight off, it comes from understanding how fat loss works and what keeps it off while preserving your metabolism. Okay. That is what healthy long term fitness comes from. Okay. So, how healthy people and fitness coaches actually think is a big difference. And this is a part that I wanted to really differentiate so that you could kind of ask yourself, am I falling into the trap of the forever weight loss customer, or am I finally sinking and aligning into the healthy person? Okay. That is, again, stewarding their health, their body, their nutrients well, the way that the Bible teaches us to do. There is a difference between one is basically stewardship over everything that you've been given, and the other is gambling so that you can get more, even though you've not learned to steward what you already have. That doesn't make sense, biblically speaking, not to me anyway. Okay, so healthy fitness coaches and healthy people do not live on diets. That maybe that's a news flash to you, maybe that's something new, maybe it's something you've never heard, but I don't live on diets. Guys, if you've not followed me for a while, I'm a total foodie. I mean, I love pizza, I love Mexican food, I love Japanese, I love food. I'm that person when you're cooking food and you want to hear the person like dote about how great this was. I'm that guy. I'm going like, oh my gosh, this is so good. And it's like, I look forward to those things. And I'm highly relational. So when we go and eat something that somebody put their heart and soul into, and they're also a relational person and you're enjoying it, man, that warms my heart. So those are things that maybe you're like me, you really look forward to. Well, that's great, but that can also be a tragedy if you don't know how to balance those things, okay? So what you need to know is that we don't keep carbs out of our life. I don't avoid sweets. I don't avoid pizza. I don't avoid foods. We're just aware of what our bodies need and how to eat in a way that supports that consistently so that I can enjoy my life, so that my clients can enjoy their lives, okay? We don't avoid foods. We understand moderation. Pizza is not cheating. Ice cream is not cheating. Cookies aren't cheating, okay? Whatever types of cookies they are, all right? They're just foods. And some foods have more calories than others, and others have more nutritional values than others. There's nothing wrong with them as long as you're getting about 80% of your of your calories should come from these nutrient dense healthy foods. But that means that the other 15 to 20% can come from the foods that you've been taught to avoid. And this 20% is going to give you sustainability so that you're no longer tempted to deviate from what's keeping the weight off, to deviate from what's keeping you healthy and making you feel your best. Okay. Hopefully, this is making sense. So, they're just foods. That's the big thing I want you to understand. There is no good and bad foods. All right. Some have more calories, some have less, some have more nutrient density, others have less. All right. The issue was never the existence of these foods that are higher in calories or have less nutritional value. The issue was never, never learning moderation. It was never learning calorie awareness. It was never learning balance. Or it was being scared off by people going, I tried to count calories before and it didn't work, or it worked and then this. If you're listening to somebody saying that they just counted calories, they have missed everything. They're missing the forest through the trees. That is not what I'm encouraging people to do, is to count calories. But I am making you I want you to be aware of what your calorie intake is, what you need, and how far over you're going. Because the reality is that just like a budget, if you're in debt trying to get out of debt, you need to learn how to spend without spending recklessly. It doesn't mean that you just stop spending altogether. Otherwise, you have no enjoyment of life and you don't get to actually enjoy the money that you're working for. But it would be kind of foolish, in my opinion, to just go, well, I'm just going to wing it because I don't want to feel restricted by, looking at my budget or looking at my check register, because that makes me feel like I'm entrapped and like I'm obsessive. So I don't want to do that. Then you're just going to wing it. That's what people do with nutrition. It does not make sense. Another little quick pet peeve that I hear from other fitness coaches, they're going, tracking macros and all this stuff is just not sustainable. Yeah, it's not meant to be sustainable. It's meant to teach you how to eat food and to how to balance. You've got to learn that because you don't know, just like I didn't know. So the reality is that I'm not telling you to track your nutrition and food and macros forever. Will I do that? You bet. Guys, I come from a horrible background of eating where every time that I go off of tracking, I either lose lean body mass or I gain body fat. It just doesn't stay where I want it to go. So I feel like I do better in moderation and flexibility when I actually track my nutrition. But I am not telling you you've got to track your food forever. But until you learn how to do proper moderation and portion control, which is all of this, you got to learn to track your food so you know what's too much, because there are all kinds of statistics now that show that people can grossly underestimate how much food they're eating by as much as 30 to 45%. That's huge. Now, again, I don't have time to get into all of that, what that means, but guys, this is major. This means that if you don't learn how many calories you're actually consuming and protein and all of this, you might be wildly off and not even realize it. Okay, but I digress. Okay, so let's see here. Where did I leave off? Yes. All right. People overconsume these foods that they normally try to avoid when they're in normal mode, and they avoid them in weight loss mode. And this is a mistake. Okay. We don't want to avoid them. And then when we remove those foods, as soon as we put them back in our lives, we feel like we've been missing out and deprived. So we go nuts. We eat way more of that than what we had before. Okay. And that's where the weight comes in. We start regaining it. Not to mention, our metabolism slows down during low calorie intake in order to match the level of calories we're consuming. It's an awesome function of our body, but it can kind of destroy fat loss if you're not paying attention. Okay. So here's what you need to know. Most healthy fitness coaches and healthy people follow some version of a I got some cat hair there, of a flexible eating or flexible dieting routine. What I do with my clients and myself is what we call the 80-20 approach, okay? Mostly minimally processed whole foods, 80% of the time. Put another way, 80% of your calories should come from that. Fun foods that are a bit more processed or they are less nutritionally valuable, those simply will, just because we enjoy them, we get to eat them, those should be at about 20% or less, without guilt, without spiraling, without needing some sort of a restart on Monday or telling yourself, oh, dang, well, I already blew it, so I may as well go further. Stop that. Stop that. You're okay. Stick with the 20%. Tomorrow, again, just like the word says, the Bible says that his mercies are renewed each morning. Guys, it's the same thing when it comes to these universal principles. Those universal principles are the same in fitness as they are in any other areas of life. So that means if you goofed up today and you overdid it, tomorrow's a fresh day. Stop burning the bridge because you're like, well, I already screwed up, so I might as well eat a whole extra large pizza. No, that's hogwash. Stop that. Stop that entirely. When you've messed up and let's say you said a cuss word or you did something that you maybe is out of your standard, you don't go, oh man, I sinned. Well, Lord, sorry. I'm just going to go ahead and sin my butt off today and I'll start fresh tomorrow. No, you don't do that. Don't do that with your health and fitness. Okay. All right. So let's see what else. We also don't obsess over weight alone, guys. This is a huge thing. Honestly, most fitness coaches barely think about weight compared to the average dieter. And I know that you might be thinking, yeah, it's because you're not overweight. No, that's not why. It's because weight is not a real metric that you should really be focusing on to determine if you're getting healthier or fitter. Because I've seen too many people come into me and they're like, yeah, I'm down 8 pounds. And then we actually look at what they're doing. And I'm like, hey, like, I get that you feel like you're doing good, but when we look at what you've got, you've lost like 5 pounds of lean body mass. You're eating too low. You're not eating. Oh, what? This is frustrating. I thought I was losing good weight. Well, you're not. And it's because they're not doing things the right way. So then once I get them coming into the program and we start doing it the right way where they're like, I've never eaten so much. Are you sure I'm going to lose weight? Yes, you're going to lose body fat, but we're not going to focus on weight alone. You will lose pounds of body fat, but you might gain 3 to 4 pounds of lean body mass. If you lose 4 pounds of fat and gain 4 pounds of lean body mass, it looks the same on the scale, even though you're getting body recomposition, you're getting healthier, metabolism is going up, and you are going to have a smaller waist, smaller arms, if that's what you're looking for, etc. Okay, so don't focus on weight. We don't do that. All right, we're paying attention to body fat percentage, waist circumference, strength, sleep, energy, recovery, muscle mass, movement, hormones, sustainability, how my clothes are fitting, and quality of life. These are the things that we want to focus on, because healthy body composition and healthy living are way bigger than simply weighing a certain number. I've worked with so many people that weighed a good weight according to the BMI charts. And then when we test their body fat, they're over 35 to 40% body fat, which is an accident waiting to happen when we're talking about health, disease, and so on and so forth. Okay. So we don't want to put our focus on what the doctors have told us, BMI and weight. All right. Just eat less and move more, right? So anyway, I digress, and I don't mean to make fun of the entire medical system, but I'll just let that go where it is. All right, so let's see. We also highly value muscle as it supports a strong metabolism. And again, most forever weight loss customers are just trying to get skinny or just weigh less. They are just, oh, if I just could get to 125, I know I'd be happy. I know I'd be, I'd be confident. But the truth is that you can get to that 125 if you're female, or 165 if you're guy, and you can still be unhealthy. You can still be out of shape, and that's what I don't want for you. Okay, so healthy people and fitness coaches are trying to become stronger, healthier, more resilient, and metabolically healthier, and that's the key. We know that muscle supports metabolism, it supports hormones. We know that it supports aging well, it supports longevity, it supports insulin sensitivity, which is huge because I get asked that regularly. What about insulin resistance? It also supports mobility and independence later in life, guys. Fitness coaches also do not do these insane workouts year round. We might throw some really crazy workouts in, but most of us train only just 2 to 4 times a week for an hour or less each day. Might come as a surprise to you, but that is the truth, because workouts are supposed to produce results and improve life, all right? Not create dread, not create burnout, exhaustion, inflammation, resentment, injury, the whole 9 yards. Not perfection, consistency, okay? We want consistency. We don't freak out on low days, because the truth is, out of the last 22, 23 years of workouts, I would easily say a third of my workouts have been less than optimal or ideal. And that's just okay. It's just a low day. We don't emotionally spiral because a week was not perfect either. We understand the difference between a rough weekend doesn't destroy your goal or your fitness unless it becomes a lifestyle. So a rough weekend was just a rough weekend, and we move on. All right. Now, the final parts I want to go over is the biblical stewardship. Let me say that again, the biblical stewardship side that most people miss. Okay. So I think the Christians especially need to understand something here. The world's way of weight loss is not good stewardship of our bodies or our health usually. And I'm sorry to say that, but it's the truth. Okay. A lot of people approach fitness almost like self-punishment. So it's no wonder that they can't wait to get back to normal. The stuff that you're doing to get the weight off to begin with is awful. Okay. It's grueling. It's not something. And again, I know some people are like, well, anything worth having is, worth working for. I agree. But why do you want to make yourself go through like a military boot camp style when that's not necessarily healthy either? And it's not even what's the most effective. That's the premise here. Let's do something that's effective, that's sustainable, that makes us enjoy life, because we're going to want to keep up with it. All right. So starvation, overtraining, guilt, shame, emotional eating, food restriction, constantly swinging between excess and extremes are what most people are doing. Okay. Healthy, sustainable fitness, though, is all about stewardship. It's all about wisdom. It's all about sustainability. Stewardship thinks long term. It does not think about microwave results. Stewardship builds on rock instead of sand. Okay. Meaning that when life's storms begin to happen, stress, kid stuff, travel, house renovation, car breaks down, whatever, This stuff all stands even when those storms of life are going on. All right. Healthy people understand that sleep matters, stress management matters, nutrition matters, energy matters, hormones matter, habits matter, and emotional regulation matters as well. They know that they cannot fully show up for their spouse, their children, their calling, their business, the ministry, and their future when they are constantly trapped in cycles that leave them exhausted, inflamed, and low energy, foggy minded, discouraged, feeling deprived, and physically weaker than they should be. And that is what 95% of people who lose weight are doing. This is why I call them forever weight loss customers. They have bought everything that the weight loss industry has sold them: low calorie diets, cut out this foods, here's a superfood. All bunk, all garbage. Okay. So, again, they also know emotions can be misleading. Healthy people, all right, they know emotions can be misleading, so they don't make decisions on emotional highs or lows. And this is something that I had the fortune of learning when I was only 19 years old. I had a business mentor who taught me we never make decisions on emotional highs, which are excitement, or emotional lows, which are fear and scarcity. Okay. And ever since I've learned that, it served me. So I teach it to my clients and it serves them as well. Excitement or emotional highs can make you jump into unsustainable extremes or things that are just simply not good for you because you're making decisions out of emotion and then using logic to justify why you did it. All right. So, discouragement, fear, or scarcity thinking, also known as emotional lows, can make you lose consistency or just quit completely because you're not seeing the weight come off, even though you're doing the right things to get the body fat off like you want to. Okay. Stewardship actually puts a focus beyond the emotional moment and starts to consider, can I actually live this way long term? Is this going to harm my body in any way just to get the weight off? That's the idea. Okay. So, what is the path forward? Well, here's how to stop thinking like a forever weight loss customer. All right. What do you actually do now? Well, you got to stop viewing fitness as temporary. If you're trying to survive your fat loss phase, your plan is already broken. It is not going to serve you long term. So you got to learn what actually causes fat loss. I have got plenty of videos on calories, energy balance, protein, all the things that you need on that. Okay. What you need to know is that energy balances matter. Energy balances is the balance of calories in versus calories out. Okay. Once you get energy balance, you've got to focus on calorie deficits, but they've got to be safe. 15 to 20% calorie deficit below your total daily energy expenditure, which is how many calories you burn each day, not what your watch says. That's not going to be right. You'll have to figure that out. And if you need help, I can help you. All right. So, understanding this is going to remove so much confusion and emotional decision making. I want you to stop obsessing over the weight alone as well. It's not going to serve you. I want you to use photos, measurements, body fat, waist circumference, strength, energy, sleep, and consistency along with your weight. Okay. But the weight literally is the least important. If you want to focus on weight, you need to know pounds of lean body mass and pounds of body fat. Those are the only two weights you really need because they're going to tell you which is which. The total scale weight does not tell you how much muscle you have or lost, how much water you have or lost, or how much body fat you have or lost. And this is a problem. Okay. So I also want you to learn moderation instead of avoidance. Use the 80-20 rule. I teach that in my book, Fat Loss and Food Love, or excuse me, Food Love and Fat Loss. There we go. I don't even know my book. The book, you should be able to see below. I think I put that in there. If not, it's on a few other ones. So you got to learn moderation instead of avoidance. I teach the 80-20 rule. Foods are not morally good or bad, as we talked about in the early part of the video. So you want to learn balance and sustainability. And there is a way to do this that's mathematical and yet highly flexible. All right. The other thing you've got to do is prioritize muscle and strength, not the scale. Stop trying to become smaller at all costs. Focus on becoming healthier and stronger. If your strength is not going up while you are in a weight loss deficit or while you're trying to get healthy, you're probably eating too few calories, or you're not having enough protein, or you don't have a good strength program, which you definitely need. Okay. So stop chasing microwave results. This is the ultimate one. If you are a believer watching this, you've got to understand that chasing microwave results where you're trying to lose all your weight in the next 4 to 12 weeks This is not stewardship. And I hate to break it to you, but this is going to lead you regaining the weight again. All right. Temporary extremes create temporary outcomes. Healthy people build habits that they can actually repeat for life. And that's what I've done. Guys, there are times where I gain 8 or 10 pounds and lose it over a year, but you will never be able to tell because it's a normal 4 to 5 pound fluctuation. And my body fat only really deviates about 0.5%. That's a pretty decent margin for somebody who enjoys life and doesn't live at the gym and all of this. I work out from home. These parts of my life to keep myself fit are highly enjoyable. All right. So most people were never taught how healthy people actually live. They were taught how to repeatedly lose weight. Those are very different things. All right. Forever weight loss customers are always trying to escape the process and the cycle. Healthy people build a life that they can actually live inside of long term. It's all about sustainability and enjoyment, all right? And that shift begins to change everything for your energy, your hormones, your confidence, consistency. Your stress levels even go down. So your central nervous system becomes healthier. Your health, your longevity, your peace around food and fitness. Guys, you should have food freedom. You should have a healthy relationship with food that is stewardship, okay? So because eventually fitness stops becoming a grueling weight loss process or a cycle that you're just trying to make it through to get back to normal, and it just becomes part of how you live. And when that happens, it's no different than brushing your teeth or taking a shower. It's just something you do each day, and it doesn't really take much out of you, okay? And that's the beauty. So if this resonated with you and you're tired of starting over every few months or every few years, whatever your cycle might be, and you want to finally learn how to live a healthy fitness coach life instead of a forever weight loss customer life, that's exactly what we teach inside of Joyfully Fit 365. You can see the link below, and it's an actual sustainable system built around real life. The cool thing is that you can test drive our Joyfully Fit 365 system in what's called our 21-day fat loss kickstart. And it's absolutely everything that you need in the next 21 days to lose approximately anywhere from 6 to 13 pounds. But it's not just about that. It is the foundation, because this 21-day kickstart is not a challenge. It is the foundational pieces that helps you to not only get some results, but to learn to put together the healthy person or the healthy fitness coach lifestyle instead of the weight loss customer for life lifestyle. Okay. So, link is below if you guys want to check that out. Don't forget, if you don't mind, if you got something out of this video, if it's helped you, be sure to subscribe and don't forget to hit the like and share. It helps so much to send the message out that we're here to help people to get off of the forever weight loss customer lifestyle. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you all on the